All right, we're live. It's been a relatively calm week. You're not doing a whole hell of a lot. I'm barely doing anything. I'm not traveling around the state. I'm sitting in trials, doing crazy stuff. So maybe, I don't know, we'll try to do this show. Just so little to talk about.
It may be a longer show than normal because of the amount of news. So I keep that. There might be some intermissions for bathroom breaks.
I can just about guarantee that. Okay, I want to start off with we were teasing something that was going to happen Wednesday. You were going to be interviewed on 2020 about the illustrious Stephanie Lazarus, and she is a convicted cop killer.
No.
Who is a killer?
She's a cop who is a killer, not a cop.
Exactly. That's why. No, I did that deliberately.
Oh, okay.
I did that. Right. I said, as in a cop who is a killer. Right. Fortunately, her victim was not a cop, so she didn't kill the cop. She killed a woman because of jealousy. But
she married a cop.
What's up?
No?
She did marry a cop. Yes.
Yeah. She did marry a cop. We have a great episode on this. If you want to see it, Eric can direct you on to where to find that with a link. I didn't know what was going on. I got contacted by 2020. Apparently, they watch America's Untold Stories around the clock, from what the guy told me. And because they're looking for stories. I mean, all these producers are. That's just the way they roll. They look at everything. This was covered quite a bit in the media, but the connection for the story for me, which is in the episode, is that I was the last one. That's
the episode.
The last one to interview her before she was arrested by LAPD. So 2020 is doing an episode because she was recommended, and this is really bizarre. She was recommended for parole by Newsom's office. I did not understand that because of the under 26 years of age as a juvenile killer in the state of California. 26 is the cutoff. This happened in the Sirhan case too. It kind of took me by surprise. They consider 26 to be the cutoff for offenders, youthful offenders. She was 25 when she did it. She was already on the force. She was working as a LAPD officer when she assassinated, to quote one of the detectives, her former boyfriend's wife inside of their condo in Van Nuys, California, in 1986. The episode can explain all the details. I'm not going to rehash all of that. But apparently during the parole hearing, the entire family showed up and gave testimony as victims, Eric. As you're well aware, they show up and can give testimony, including John Rutten, who was her ex-boyfriend, who had sex with her even after being engaged to the woman he was going to marry, his fiance. Meaning Stephanie Lazarus, kind of was sobbing and going crazy and begged him to have sex with her. It was a trap at the end. She then immediately confronted his fiance and bride-to-be and told her that she just had sex with her boyfriend, with her fiance, and if she can't have him, meaning Stephanie Lazarus, then nobody can have him. Then she, a little while afterwards, came to the condo and executed her with 3 bullets to the chest from a .38 revolver, which she tossed into the Santa Monica Bay and then went to the Santa Monica police force, claiming her gun was robbed from her car. That was the murder weapon. Unfortunately for her, in the struggle, Stephanie Lazarus bit the victim to get herself out of a chokehold by the victim, who was a 6-foot-tall Norwegian-American volleyball star from UCLA.
Sherry Rasmussen or something?
Sherry Rasmussen was a super athletic, 6-foot-tall, stunning blonde. And to her credit, Stephanie Lazarus was a huge star athlete at UCLA basketball team, LAPD Olympic team.
And so crazy.
It was
and crazy
and crazy as all
crazy.
hell. Right. When I met her, which is in the episode, I was there to interview the arch detective, Don Harisic, and she was there. I didn't know who she was, but she kept interrupting the interview, making all kinds of crazy comments. And I mean, crazy. She just came off as a crazy person. I had no knowledge as to her being linked to this crime, which was a cold case crime from 1986. After the interview, shortly thereafter, this secret squad that Chief Bratton had put together of 4 men who were followed her to Costco, where she bought a soda in a plastic cup with a straw. And when she tossed out the soda with the straw into the garbage, they seized it for her DNA. When it was taken in 86, DNA was not used yet, but they saved it in a frozen locker where a forensic expert found it, literally in 2003. That being the case, in 2009, she was arrested, and they said the match of the DNA was 6 trillion to 1 that it was her, the highest ever recorded of DNA matching at that time in 2010. She went to trial and was convicted in 2012. She was sentenced to 27 to life. She did 12 or 13 years, and then the parole thing came out of nowhere, ordered by Newsom's office. And then apparently the California Parole Board agreed to parole her. The family showed up, and now the entire thing has gone kablooey and blown up, not unlike the Baldwin trial today. So this thing went kablooey. That's why I was on 2020. I don't know if it's going to air next week. It usually airs on a Friday night. Probably in the next couple of weeks that'll air. I think I did about an hour and a half of recording there. They'll probably make it 2 minutes. That'll air out of the hour and a half.
Probably, but
nevertheless, that was an all-day affair with this Stephanie Lazarus case. Now, if she gets out, she had a lot of friends on LAPD. One of them was a detective named Pat Morritt, who actually went in and stole all the evidence against her out of the evidence locker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, signed it out, claimed
maybe she was sleeping with him too.
No, she already had a detective husband on the force. This was a friend of her husband's.
Oh my God.
Right. So his signature's there. When they confront him about it, he simply says, I don't remember. And all the evidence disappeared except for one piece of evidence that was not there, that was in the frozen locker. And that was the DNA in a test tube.
Damn.
With Lazarus's name on the outside of a withering envelope. And that they did not see coming. She almost got away with it. She almost became the head of the art theft unit, which Don Harisic had run for 35 years as a one-man operation, which is a fascinating story if you want to look at that episode about a one-man Columbo who's been solving high-end LA art crimes for years, including the stolen comic books of Nicolas Cage and Peanuts sells, animation, Disney sells. I mean, just incredible story. And also the story of me and him trying to make it into a TV show is in there, which is a separate aspect of the story. But the Rasmussen case is going to be on 2020 in a week or two. So we'll keep you posted as to when that's going to be on.
Oh yeah. And it is a good episode. I mean, everybody seriously consider watching it. I'll put a link into the chat to.
It is let me tell you, not the episode, but the story itself is the mother of all true crime episodes in the history of true crime.
Especially her interrogation too. Oh my God.
It's got the interrogation. It's got LAPD. It's got Chief Bratton with the secret unit. It's got the cold case, the DNA, the bloodthirsty murder, the fight that goes on. I'll just tell you this, and we switch subjects, but what happens is she comes into the condo, Stephanie Lazarus, stalking her. She's upstairs, the victim, Sherry Rasmussen, in a bathrobe in her bedroom. She goes upstairs, immediately opens fire on her in the bathrobe, misses both shots, Eric. They both go through the French door window in back of her, buckling those two windows. Now Rasmussen runs down the stairs to push a recently installed panic button on the wall, and she is wrestled to the ground by Lazarus. The gun is knocked away. She's gotten into a headlock by Rasmussen, and a death grip and a headlock. She takes a vase and smashes it over Rasmussen's head, who then bites her in the forearm, Rasmussen's forearm, to break her death grip on her neck, which is where the bite marks come from. And as she's laying on the ground, she takes a blanket, folds it up to muffle the sound, and fires 3 shots into her chest at point blank range with a .38. Then fakes the fact that it's a burglary, which convinces LAPD that it's a burglary for 30 years.
Yeah,
it's an amazing story. It really is an amazing story.
Oh, for sure. And quick update, because the Baldwin case is blowing up bigger than you've ever seen. Guess who's on the stand right now testifying? Carrie Morrisy.
Oh, it's flipped over for her hiding the evidence, and she's now, the judge seems to be snapping at her, Eric, from what I've seen, because she said the ammunition was the same, and the judge said that's not for you to say. Apparently,
it is. Yes, it is ugly. I've been on it all day. I think it's going to get dismissed. It looks like it's going to get dismissed.
I agree,
and it may free Hannah. It is so bad right now. Hannah may be free.
She should have been freed from day one, and your friend Seth may end up on the hot seat.
I don't know if he will be. We'll see. I wish I could clone myself for both channels. Somebody in the super chat. He didn't provide the ammo. So far, that's not tied in. But boy, the guy who came in with ammo, they collected this ammo from Troy Teskey. And Popple, the evidence tech, met with him on a body camera, whatever, took the ammo, and instead of filing the evidence, this ammo that came in with the Rust case, she put it in another location with a different case number. And that is what's blowing up in their face, because Hancock just testified this afternoon that Carrie Morrisy knew that it was in another location, that Carrie Morrisy.
Well, what do you think? What do you think?
I think
Miss Morrisy has been a loose cannon since day one, Eric. We've both said that.
Well, yeah, I felt it directly, but I think it's the weirdest situation in the world, because technically speaking, it has zero to do with Alec Baldwin pulling the trigger. It has 100% to do with Hannah Gutierrez's case.
Oh yeah.
But it has zero to do.
Her lawyer Bowles asked for her to get out today, right?
I haven't heard from Bowles. I'm sure he's writing right now.
Filed a motion this morning to get her out.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
It's all over the news. That's all over the news.
Yeah, well, I've been locked in, just zero.
I understand your situation, but okay.
Anyway,
so what do you make? Where do you think it's going to go?
I think that the damn thing's going to get dismissed. And it's very interesting, because at lunchtime, it looked like there was a deal, like they were going to make a deal with Baldwin.
A plea agreement, you're saying.
A plea agreement, yeah, because everybody's happy, smiling. Baldwin's hugging his wife. Everything's going on. Morrisy's smiling. And then all of a sudden after lunch, it's like that's gone. And it seems like Morrisy's just dug in and is like, no, I'm not going to let it go, or whatever it is, which means I think she could lose everything. And this is why.
Wow.
If she made a deal with Baldwin, case just, would be dropped, whatever it is, plea arrangement, there'd be no introduction of evidence. But now there's an introduction of evidence for the record, which can be used in the appeal for Hannah Gutierrez. This is evidence that they would not be able to collect otherwise.
Free Hannah.
So
bro.
It is kind of a disaster for.
Well, it's for everybody. It's Roseville down there, and you've got these heavyweight guys coming in there. Baldwin's guys. This is different than Bowles and his and himself. So we kind of expected there would be a different level of legal representation, Eric, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And honestly, the coordination between the two defenses you can see here too. Because how do you think that Spiro knew about this evidence going into the police station, which, by the way, guess when Troy Teske turned the ammunition in?
Right before the Hannah trial or right afterwards or something?
After.
Right after. Yeah, I thought so.
Because technically, if you really break it down, the evidence was Thell's ammo. Thell had stored his ammo with Troy Teske. So you didn't want that to come in during Hannah's trial, because the ammo would tie closer.
I think they're going to call Seth in to testify that he's
not. Well, he's already been in. He was testifying earlier.
Well, they may call him back then after they resolve this, because
if it's dismissed,
or Thell. I mean, Thell has to come in then and explain himself.
Well, not if they dismiss it. If it's dismissed, it's just like everything.
They may not dismiss that quickly until they air all this laundry out to make sure everybody's happy with the dismissal. You know what I mean?
You know what?
You're right. The judge looks like she's pissed off.
Just say, "You're get out."
The judge, she's got the plastic gloves on. I mean, that's I've never seen that before. The blue gloves by a judge. I mean, that's weird.
Oh, Burkhart's calling it what is it? Courtroom theater. Because there's no need for it. It's just just putting it on, and she's like, "Oh, so now he's touching with the untouched with the." Anyway, it is a bit of a showmanship.
Eric and I have an important announcement to say today. Maybe Eric can give us a hint as to where we're going with this thing.
Well, there's an anniversary coming up, August 9th.
Right. Good point. So August 9th, the reason we started this Watergate series is that August 9th is actually the 50th anniversary of the resignation and departure of Richard Nixon, I think the 37th president of the United States. And August 9th is, I think so, I forget, but part of the reason we're doing the series is to wrap it around this particular date, which is the 50th anniversary. The break-in happened 2 years before, but the bulk of the case starts to happen in 1974, 50 years ago this summer. And that's when the Watergate hearings started. That's when all the Supreme Court rulings came down, the subpoenas, everybody pointing fingers. And so what we wanted to do was have a meetup at the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda, California, the home and base of Richard Nixon. Went to college in Whittier, which is a little bit up the road. So on August 9th and 10th, and we teased this out last week, we just cemented a super mega meetup at the next door to the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda at a hotel next door. So Erica is going to be posting how you can get involved in that. And I just want to give you the whole structure of this thing because it's a little bit different than the other meetups. We're going to be next door to the Nixon Library. And the Nixon Library is going to have some fascinating events that weekend. There's an obscure Supreme Court judge named Neil Gorsuch who's going to be there.
Or justice.
What, Supreme Court justice?
Justice, not judge, yeah.
Is that true?
Yes, it's a different title. He's a justice.
As opposed to a Supreme Court judge?
There is no Supreme Court judge. There's federal judges, but the Supreme Court has justices, not judges.
Oh, okay, whatever. So Neil Gorsuch, whatever his title is, this obscure guy in American history, is going to be there signing his new book, which people, you can take a tour of the Nixon Library. You can take a tour of you can listen to the Watergate tapes, for Christ's sakes, which is what I'm going to be doing. You have access to the actual tapes down there. So you've got the Nixon Library. We're going to be next door in a banquet room, and we're going to be doing on Friday our live show before a live audience that will be you if you decide to come to this meetup. In other words, that Friday, we're going to broadcast at 6 o'clock or 5:30, our regular time, Eastern time. So it'll be 2:30 Pacific time, LA time. And the people who are coming to the meetup on Friday will make up the live studio audience. We've never done this before. So and we're going to have hors d'oeuvres beforehand, and we're going to have a dinner afterwards. So it's going to be a meetup and a banquet also as part of the price with drinks and everything else. So don't think you're not getting fed, because you are. And then they have a special.
And I'll list that there's food there.
Yeah.
No, I forgot.
He forgot to put in. People were wondering. No, I'm in charge of the food this time. So there's going to be hors d'oeuvres beforehand. There's going to be dinner afterwards for Friday. So I just want to identify the two things because they're different events. The Friday night is going to be, which is actually Friday afternoon at 2:30. So the event will be from 1 to 6. So from like 1 to 2, there will be drinks and hors d'oeuvres and everything downstairs in the hotel. There's a special area reserved for us. This is a hotel right by the next door to the Nixon Library. So then from 2:30 to whatever, 5:30, our usual time, we will do the live show with you people right there. Live show right there with you as a live studio audience. There will then be a dinner afterwards. Right after the show, there'll be a dinner. The next night, it'll be at 6 p.m. at night, 6 to 7, we will be feeding you. And from 7 to 11, or 7 to 10, actually. So it'll be from 6 to 10, but 6 to 7 will be food. And then 7 to 10, Eric and I will open that with just a Q&A. This is not on air, but we're going to do a Q&A. Any questions you have, that's also from the audience that's going to be there. But we're not going to film that. We're not going to broadcast that. That's just a general Q&A, different audience, different people, different ticket, different price, different day. You could get both if you want. Eric's probably going to open it up to locals people first. We also have a code to get these beautiful rooms at this hotel. You don't have to stay at that hotel, but I recommend it if you can get in there early. It's a great hotel where the event is. But let me just tell you this. There's plenty of hotels there. Disney is right down the road. Knott's Berry Farm is right down the road. This is tourism, the best of Southern California. Everything is right there. There's plenty of hotels. And there's plenty of things to do, as you will see when you start to look at where the Nixon Library is. So we're going to do this mega meetup. It's going to be August 9th and 10th, 2 separate tickets, 2 separate days, 2 separate audiences, commemorating this dark day in American history, where, as you will see in the Watergate series, this was a coup d'etat taking down Richard Nixon from the inside. You could debate all you want, good guy, bad guy, corrupt, tricky dick, honest guy, whatever you want to do. None of that has anything to do with the origins of, and we'll get into this as the series develops. We're going to be doing the rest of the Cubans on Tuesday to finish off the Cubans involved. And that's going to be interesting because each one of these Cubans has a fascinating backstory, as people have seen already. So this weekend, Eric will start building up the structure, I guess, right, Eric, to purchase the tickets and
yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There will be links. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll probably, announce it on the grill stream. That's been kind of the tradition, is that people watching the grill stream on our locals, get first, dibs on it, and then it rolls from there. But yeah, we'll be rolling it out because obviously getting to California, some people have to book flights, things like that. Right. We know that there's a short time period. So
yeah, you got a little under a month to pull it off. I mean, some people can drive. We've been meaning to do something on the West Coast for a couple of years now because we haven't done anything out here. So, you got people coming from Texas and people coming from Nevada, and, Washington State, Oregon, and straight down, and New Mexico. And we have a lot of fans in Arizona that's close by, and a lot of fans in Southern California. So we just thought it was time to do it. And what better time to do it than August 9th, the actual 50th anniversary of the Nixon resignation. And there's plenty of things to do with that library, I'll tell you right now. Plenty of things to do there, including possibly meeting a Supreme Court Justice, Neil Gorsuch, and others who were there that weekend doing different, Nixonian
options. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of options, a lot of things to do there. I mean, we've had meetups before where there was not much around, but this has plenty of options, including touristy kind of options like Disneyland and stuff, which are fascinating nearby.
Wow. Breaking news. The other special prosecutor just resigned from the case in the Alec Baldwin trial.
The other special prosecutor?
There's Carrie Morrisy and another prosecutor. Remember, it was Jason. Jettisoned, and they replaced him with somebody else. The other one just left.
Okay, is he being thrown under the bus or?
No, No,
as a human sacrifice? Or?
No, the other prosecutor's going to say, "Screw you, Carrie. You're on your own." And
okay,
bye.
All right. Well, it's getting interesting.
It's over.
Well, we're going to bring in an expert right now who can explain this to everyone. This is a guy been wanting to have him on for a while. His name is Nathan Hochman. Nathan Hochman is running for district attorney against George Gascon here in Los Angeles. And he was formerly, he's got a background as United States Assistant Attorney General under George W. Bush. So there is a background of being a prosecutor. Speaking of prosecutors, Nathan Hochman was born and raised in Beverly Hills and served as U.S. Assistant Attorney General in the tax division of the U.S. Department of Justice in 2008. And then he was Assistant United States Attorney for the Central District of California from 1990 to 1997, serving the criminal division. This is a guy who's challenging toe-to-toe the Cuban Marxist who has literally melted this city, George Gascon. So I wanted to put him on.
Didn't he melt San Francisco beforehand?
He melted San Francisco before he got here. There was a recall that was highly suspect, and Hochman's been endorsed by LA County DA, former DA Steve Cooley, and others. And this is a matchup that may literally decide the fate of this current Mad Max environment that's going on in this city right now, where I'm sure he will explain his position on why he believes he should be the next district attorney of Los Angeles. This may or may not break it. After graduating, he went to Stanford Law School. He went to Brown University, Beverly Hills High School. He clerked for United States District Judge Stephen Wilson in Los Angeles, and then got involved in prosecuted over 180 cases in the criminal division, securing convictions against corrupt public officials, human and narcotics traffickers. One thing about Hochman I really liked was the fact that he was a Republican nominee for the 2022 California Attorney General election, ultimately losing to this guy we now have, Rob Bonta, this corrupt guy we have now. And he announced his candidacy to run for DA April 3rd of 2023. And he is now in the final matchup in November against George Gascon. But he was appointed by George W. Bush as the United States Assistant Attorney General. And which I really like was the fact that he was president of the LA City Ethics Commission for many years. And I wanted to ask him about that. In 2014, he served as the president of that commission. Anyway, when we bring him on, I just wanted to, if people have any questions in the chat, I got a lot of questions. But if other people have questions of him who are aware of this race out here, it's a big deal. It's a big deal because this city has spiraled out of control, as has New York, under George Soros. And it's very interesting because there's been a recent development in the George Gascon re-election case for reasons that have not been explained. And maybe Nate can explain this. George Soros has cut off money to George Gascon for re-election, Eric. There's no explanation as to why he's turned off the spigot.
Maybe he needs he's saving up for his son's wedding.
Well, this is interesting. He's also endorsed, Nathan Hochman's also endorsed by Max Kennedy and Rory Kennedy, who apparently have had enough, Eric. So he's got bipartisan support. I've never seen this in recent years in California, where there's bipartisan support for anything. This kind of echoes the Schwarzenegger era in a lot of ways, Eric. So there's a lot of hope here. And like I said, Hochman was president of the LA City Ethics Commission from 2011 to 2016. And if any city needs ethics, it's this city right here, right now. We can't put any more city council or board of supervisors in jail. I don't think there's enough room to put them in jail. And I think this is the bailiwick of Hochman, is ethics. And I hope that can resonate with this guy.
Let's go and ask him.
We'll bring him in, and then we can ask Nathan himself about political ethics.
All right. And here he is. Nate, how are you doing?
Hey, doing okay. How about yourself?
Hey, Nate, what's going on, bro?
How's life?
Well, we're waiting for you to save the city.
We're waiting for you to save the city, Nate.
Which city?
L.A.
Did you guys think I was Nathan Hochman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is a mix.
Oh my.
This is I'm a conservative writer. There's a Nathan Hochman running. If I look.
What are you running for?
I'm not running for anything.
I was thinking you were pretty young for it. Okay, no, I'm confused.
I heard you saying that in the run up, like talking about California. I was like, oh no, I think these guys might have booked.
You don't even look anything like them.
I know.
But where did you go to? Where did you grow up? Let's interview this guy. Who cares?
You know, the most hilarious thing, and I can hop off if you guys meant to book someone else, but just really quickly, the most hilarious thing is this is not the first time I've been booked on a TV hit where they thought
for him.
Yeah, and vice versa, I think.
That's very funny. That's very funny.
Anyways, if you guys wanted to talk to somebody else.
Well, as long as you're here, tell me what's going on. What's the deal with you?
Well, what are you guys talking about?
We were talking about you, Hochman, until you came on as another Hochman.
We're talking about your brother.
We're talking what's the deal with you, bro?
So I'm a conservative writer. I actually grew up in Portland, Oregon, which is not exactly a bastion of right-wing politics these days.
What is going on up there? Do you live there?
No, I live out in the DC area now. I'm helping run a conservative political startup and all that good stuff.
Well, tell us about that. Tell us about that.
This political startup is called America 2100. It's trying to basically drag the GOP kicking and screaming in the nationalist direction. We basically think, I don't know exactly what sort of genre of conservatism you guys are coming at things from, but we believe that
populism primarily.
Good. Okay. Well, there you go. And we're on the same page. We think Trump started a revolution in 2016, but it was never fully fulfilled because most of the GOP is yet to get.
No, we agree with you on that. We agree.
So that's what we're trying to do.
We really wanted to book you. We were just fucking with you.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't take offense to it at all.
No. Go ahead. All right. So where are we now with your organization, Hochman?
Well, we're just getting stuff off the ground. So
okay.
We launched only a few months ago, but we've got a bunch of connections on the Hill with the good Republicans on that side. And we're going to try to help.
Well, explain who the good Republicans are, so we know who they are.
Yeah, good question.
Well, we really like in the Senate. We really like Josh Hawley, JD Vance,
right.
Marco Rubio on his good days.
Rand Paul.
Rand Paul is great.
Yeah.
Rand Paul is absolutely great. And then the House side, there's a lot more good Republicans in the House side. There's Jim Banks is running for Senate now.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be a really good guy in the Senate. Chip Roy, Thomas Massey, obviously he's the counterpart to Rand Paul in the House. But our basic thing is Trump ran on three issues really in 2016. He ran on trade, foreign policy, and immigration. And on each one of those issues, it was fundamentally revolutionary. I mean, people forget about this now, but Trump originally in 2016 ran against the Republican Party. Before he ran against Hillary Clinton, he ran against the Republican Party, both the people on stage with him, but also as an institution, as a Republican Party that had failed its voters, that had betrayed its voters, numerous times, that had this ideology that was completely out of touch with the moment, that wasn't engaging on the right issues. On immigration, they were doing amnesty. On foreign policy, they were starting wars abroad when our country was falling apart at home. And Trump very instinctively, he wasn't even an ideological guy, but he instinctively understood the kind of dynamics. But the rest of the Republican Party, a lot of them pretended to go along with it, but a lot of them never really did. And the concern is that when Trump's gone, regardless of what happens in this election, a lot of Republicans and a lot of powerful people in this city are going to want to snap right back to the old Republican Party, the Georgia.
Absolutely. And
that's
really the party of Lindsey Graham, a guy who seems to be able to turn on the switch or go back and forth like a chameleon, right, Nate?
Right. No, 100%. And and the thing is, again, I can just tell I'm a young guy, so I only got to the city a few years ago, but I've had a lot of experience kind of talking to and working with Republicans. And one thing is a lot of the guys who might sound good publicly because they feel like they have to kind of sound like Trump now, right? That's how you get reelected. Are not actually the kinds of guys that they say they are, and are just waiting for an opportunity to kind of go back to the old Lindsey Graham Republican Party. So everyone talks about Lindsey Graham as the bad guy, and he is obviously, But a lot more Republicans that you wouldn't expect are also, kind of in bed with that genre. So,
well, we just have to announce that all charges have been dismissed against Alec Baldwin in the negligent homicide case down in New Mexico, it's something we've been covering since the beginning, and we've been mentioned by the LA Times and partially indicted when they went after Hunley, the prosecutor in the case. So it's big news for our particular audience. We did about 20 episodes on Alec Baldwin and that.
So your audience it's conservative California.
It's populist, MAGA heavy on Fridays, but not all, because we do a lot of JFK. So we have some centrists and others who tolerate us for our Tuesday coverage.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. But it's mostly folks based in the LA, Hollywood area.
No. We're all over the world. We've got fans everywhere. Well, it's a national show. Got 100,000 subscribers. Usually about 50,000 are going to be tuning in to see the DA candidate of LA, and they're going to see this Nate Hochman impersonator from DC. No, this is great for you, Hochman. Let's go. Let's milk this thing. Let's help your organization.
Do you have a law degree, I hope?
No, not even.
Okay, that's even better.
We're working on that, sir, because we're working on your job here.
Hochman, where can we find your organization? Because you're reaching a huge audience right now. Tell us where we can find it.
So my organization is America 2100 on Twitter, America _ 2100, and then I'm at NJ Hochman, NJHOCHMAN.
Right.
I'm kind of taking over the organization over the next few months.
Okay, but we can have you back on for a full formal thing after we run some checks to see if you're telling the truth, and then have you back on, because it seems like you fit in with us politically, Nate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seemed, from my very short experience with you guys, it seems like we're on the same page. But
right.
Hey, I'll let you guys go. Good luck booking the right Nathan Hochman. And
we're gonna have to call him up. I thought we were going to talk about George Gascon, who we're trying to get out in LA.
Well, good luck. Gascon's awful. So.
Right. Well, George Soros has now cut off the money to Gascon, which I found to be quite interesting. That he's turning off the spigot, and hopefully he'll do the same in Philadelphia and do the same up in New York. And this may be something where they're moving in another direction. I know he's attempting to buy a number of AM radio stations before the election, Nate. And the FCC, I think, has already approved it. And without any controversy of him mass buying stations now. I don't know if you heard about that, but
no, I do. I mean, I've written about Soros and his kind of empire a lot. The problem, what he does, which is ruthlessly effective, is he's got unlimited cash, but he targets these little known races that nobody votes in and nobody spends money on.
Yeah,
and that probably transforms the country, right? Like in DA races, up until Soros, people don't know this. Nobody spent money in district attorney races.
Right.
Like it was a tiny little bit of money. They were often off-year elections, so like only really activists showed up to vote anyways. And he flooded these races where people usually spent, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, maybe a little more than that, with millions of dollars in places like Philadelphia. In Hungary, which is where Soros originally is from, they've got a conservative prime minister. He just banned George Soros from spending money.
Wow. I like that.
They were trying to, Soros was trying to flood the country with immigrants from North Africa. And they didn't, Hungarians didn't want mass migration from North Africa. And so they just banned it. And the result is that Hungary is doing better than the rest of Europe right now because they don't have this immigration crisis. To me, that seems like common sense. Like, I don't understand why we can't do that here. The guy is he has blood on his hands, right? Direct deaths you can trace back to his spending. I think it's in the interest of the American people to get serious about that. Anyways, I'll let you guys go. Talking to you guys, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Eric, he put out his information, so maybe the people at home, if they want to donate to his organization, it would really help get this thing started and keep the Trump legacy going. Whether it's after Trump or now or whatever, I think this is a righteous organization, from what I understand. So if you want to look it up and donate. It might be helpful to.
One question before he goes.
Sure.
Trump's VP.
I'm a little too close to the ground on that because of some personal connections. But what I can say is that the three finalists, this has been reported in the media, are JD Vance, Marco Rubio, and Doug Beram. and we're going to know by Monday. So it's going to come up. I can't tell you guys any more than that because I don't want to betray anyone's trust. But
right.
It's really coming down to the line. So it's not like 100% sure even
now.
So,
wow.
I heard that that it was the odds. So we're talking about the news that were being reported is that the favorites were Beram first, Vance a very close second, tight, and a Rubio distant third. But now rumors are percolating that Rubio may be coming up the line a bit more, and the Drudge Report seems to be attacking Vance like crazy.
This is a crazy thing. So I mean, without getting too far into it, I'm being totally honest when I say even people who are like insiders here in DC, it's anyone's guess between 2 or 3 like depending who you talk to in Trump world, because like Trump world has different factions for all three that are on. So you've got like this guy who's like really good friends with Trump is pulling for this guy. You got this guy who's pulling for that guy. And they're all feeding the media and their own people different things, right? So depending who you talk to, like it's 100% Vance, it's 100% Rubio, it's 100% Beram. And it's not even clear that Trump has made up his mind yet, which is crazy because he has to announce by Monday. But yeah, I would just say like when you rank them, it really depends who you ask to. It really could be, any of the three.
Well, I'm going to go with Beram. I'm just going to take a shot because my political belief is you don't give up a Senate seat ever for a VP slot. And that's just old school politics 101. And both Rubio and Vance are sitting on some very hard-earned seats that may not go back that way. You can't take the chance, but Beram is available.
You also don't want your VP to outshine you.
Which for Trump especially, I mean, I love.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like he's a guy who likes to be kind of the center of the spotlight. It's the interesting thing is like people are talking about, maybe Vance is like a successor to Trump. But I don't know if Trump necessarily wants that. Maybe he does. We'll find out. Right. But like,
they gave DeSantis a speaking slot, didn't they, Nate?
They did. Yeah.
Okay. That was interesting.
Yeah. I think they've kind of made up.
I've heard that they always talked, that they never really were at war, that, publicly, yes, but privately, supposedly they've always had a really good relationship from people I've talked to.
Isn't Orban down at Mar-a-Lago this week? I mean, wasn't he in town with Trump?
He comes around a lot. Like he and Trump are friendly.
Right.
He was like the leader in Europe that Trump got along with the best because they were.
I just thought they were just together the other day.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, let's just get one last prediction. How long does Biden last, and how does this end, in your humble opinion?
If you asked me this, like 24 hours before the debate, so whatever, 2 weeks ago, I would have said 100% they have to stick with him at this point. Right. I did not buy the idea at all to replace him because you heard a lot of people on our side of the aisle being like, they're going to replace him. They're going to replace him with Michelle Obama.
Right. You must have seen my show a year ago when I predicted it.
Well, look,
but not Obama, not Michelle.
No, not Michelle.
We've said Newsom since day one.
Either. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Newsom's the obvious successor. And by the way, like, I think conservatives, as much as we like to make fun of Newsom, are underestimating him.
Oh, no, we're not.
Absolutely.
He's deadly.
Oh, I know him very well, my friend.
Yeah. So he's a slick operator. And, for the kind of voter that doesn't really pay that much close attention to politics, he seems charismatic.
Yeah, Harris is a fake out. That's a fake out.
Yeah, exactly. People don't like Harris. Newsom, he can make people like him.
Oh, yeah.
But,
if you look at footage of early Biden, laughing and lying, he looks just like Newsom, bro.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Newsom has better hair.
Wow,
Newsom,
wow,
a lot. But it's every day that passes, it becomes harder and harder for the Democrats to replace him, right?
Right.
Because it takes a lot of. First of all, if they don't go with Kamala, they're basically setting a pile of $95 million on fire. Because
don't be so sure about that. Don't be so sure.
Transfer it? Well, okay. Regardless of that,
yeah, he's got his own war chest, by the way. Newsom, that's quite substantial. It goes into the Getty fortune and the Pelosi family. He's sitting on quite an arsenal out here.
Yeah, a lot of California liberal money. So do you guys think he's going to replace him with Newsom?
Yeah.
Well, look at this.
I've said it for over a year. Yeah.
This right here is the statement. Obama is behind the scenes working this out right now. And George Clooney is a giant sign. I mean, the guy just ran that. He speaks for that hive mind. He's got a nice trophy wife, honey trap. He is, this is all a sign. It's just more and more and more and more. And now I forget how many funders. A bunch of donors just said they're pulling out of the $90 million fund if he's on the ticket. So,
well, right, Nate, it's only going to get worse every day, right, bro? I mean, this is a slow dripping Chinese water torture.
It is. And I mean, the obvious question, I mean, the laws of politics right now do not conform to reason, right? So you can make this argument that might not matter, but like, obviously, if Biden's this bad now, you know, the way aging works, it doesn't get better, right? It gets worse every day, not better. It might go up and down a little bit, but the trend line is only going one way. If he's this bad now, there's no way he's making it through a second term. And
he might not make it till January. He's that bad.
I never predicted he'd make it to January. I predicted he'd last 2 years. So he's gone past 2 years.
Yeah, that surprises.
Remember, Eric?
We were saying that they were setting it up for Kamala to be a 10-year president, but she was such a disaster that was the last great decision Biden made, which was to pick her as insurance, if you will, because that's the only person that nobody wants to replace him with.
No, 100%. And one way that you can tell, and this was what really convinced me that they might actually try to replace Biden on the ticket, is the 180 turn the media has done. People talk about the media, the legacy media, which, by the way, their control of like public narratives.
Well, Nate, why don't you consider them, like I do, as an extension of the staff?
Yeah.
Then you can comprehend them. And if you take the word democracy, that they now, the Marxists come up with different definitions of common words. Democracy is now, if you transfer the word to us being in power, you can have a better understanding of their use or misuse of the word democracy. But go ahead, as you were saying.
No, you're absolutely right. And obviously they talk about our democracy and what that means.
Yeah, it's our staying in power. Just translate that, the word democracy, into us staying in power.
Has no relationship to the actual.
No, not at all.
Ruling, right? But like, people talk about the media being, biased in favor of the Democratic Party. It's almost the opposite, where in a sense, like the Democratic Party is an extension of the media. Like the media is calling the shots, and the Democratic Party politicians, and a substantial portion, if we're being honest, of Democratic Party voters basically take their cues from the New York Times. And the Washington
You're also but you also haven't mentioned the merger between the media, Hollywood, and the politicians. That's become one big hive mind now, where they bring in editors. And I was talking to Barnes about this, Robert Barnes, when the first or second impeachment was happening, and they brought in, and I said to Eric and to Robert that they were going to bring in Hollywood editors to cut video against Trump. And indeed they did. They brought in professional editors to take those videos and make them Hollywoodized for the impeachment hearings. These three institutions have melded into one mind, Nate.
Well, it's not just the three. I mean, without getting kind of too deep into it, James Burnham, who's one of the most famous right-wing political theorists of the 20th century, had this concept of the managerial elites. And he basically, his point was that every society is a ruling class, right? There's never been a society without a ruling class. It's just the way humans work. So we have a ruling class just like any others. And ours today is what he called the managerial elites, which are basically, they're not like the old capitalists or the old aristocrats. They're bureaucrats, they're administrators, and they live in these bureaucracies that encompass most of our governing institutions. So it's Hollywood, in the culture industry, to your point, it's obviously big media. It's the Democratic Party. It's also big business. It's also big tech. It's also the education bureaucracy, higher education.
Right. All
of these people are the same people. They go to the same schools. They're concentrated in the same geographical enclaves. They all have the same worldview, and they move fluidly between these institutions. So you were talking about Hollywood. The other example is like when Biden staffed up during the transition into his presidency, he brought in a ton of like big tech executives who are working on his administration. And those big tech executives, a lot of the men worked in the Obama administration. When Obama was over, they moved to big tech, Silicon Valley. When Biden comes back in, they move back in. So you think it's like he talks about regulating big tech or something. It's the same people, right? They're regulating themselves. So they're obviously they're going to be self-dealing. That's kind of how it works in all these institutions. So.
Let me ask something. What do you make of the left-wing populist movement spearheaded by RFK and the possible merger of the two into one populist movement?
Well, it's interesting. I'm curious what you guys make of it, but RFK was a very interesting figure at the beginning because in some ways he like wasn't left wing in the way that those terms are defined today.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is he was like a 1960s Democrat, right? Yep. Like he was a 1970s Democrat, right? Like his positions were pretty indistinguishable from like the mainstream of the Democratic Party 30 or 40 years ago. Right. He wasn't socially conservative. He wasn't like pro-life or anti-gay or anything like that, but he was like patriotic. He wasn't pro-open borders. He talked about America as a good country, right? Not a country that's evil and needed to atone for its sins. He was
like his dad.
Like his dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people talk about JFK and some people argue he'd be a conservative today. But the point is like, he's skeptical of big business and big tech and like kind of consolidated corporate power. And that used to be a Democratic Party position. Now it's a lot more of like a Republican Party, populist position. So he's an interesting guy. The thing is, like the lane he was trying to run in is basically Trump's lane, right? Yeah. And so he's tried to kind of pivot back to like the center or the center left now, but there's not really a constituency for that anymore.
Is the lane just too narrow at this time in political history?
I think so. Look, he's going to get some voters, right? And it's an open debate. People argue about, is he going to peel off more voters from Biden or from Trump? And I'm not sure. There are people like that who are kind of like RFK voters, but most of those people at this point are voting for Trump,
Right. Is it the old Bernie bros?
Some of them are. Some of them are. Yeah. I mean, the Bernie bros are interesting too, because like there was crossover between Bernie and Trump supporters.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah. They hate Hillary. So, I mean, they went for Trump because Bernie and Trump are both populists.
Exactly.
Right. Is Biden just Hillary Clinton with male clothes on?
He's Hillary Clinton with like this old, like populist rhetoric or aesthetic that is like totally BS. It actually has no relationship to his agenda. But when he needs to, he can still kind of talk like an old Democrat, about working people and the middle class and
Scranton Joe, old Scranton Joe.
They're gonna put you all in chains.
Yeah, well, that as well. You ain't black and all that stuff.
You ain't black.
That's his deplorables.
Well, I mean, Hillary used to put on a black accent when she went into the hood.
Well, her hot sauce carries a hot sauce around her purse.
They all seem to be the same person.
What was the hot sauce code? I haven't heard that one.
Oh, God, it was a while ago. But when she was visiting, I don't know, it's a black church or something else, but she'd say, whenever I'm here in the South, and she immediately drops into the Southern accent, which is about as effective as mine, saying, whenever I'm in the South, I like to have some hot sauce in my purse. And I'm just like, oh, my God.
Well, okay. Nate, I just wanted to thank you for impersonating the other Nate and coming on. This is actually probably far more interesting than the original Nate. Great. Now we're going to have Nate Hochman on next week. It'll be back-to-back Hochman weekends. This is a new thing, Hochman. I love this.
Hey, look, I'd love to come back anytime. It was a lot of fun talking to you guys, and good luck to the real Nate Hochman. I hope.
All right, baby. Thank you. Thanks, Nate.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, that was weird.
That was weird, but you know what? I'm going to use this as a perfect transition point to our first story, since we're going to associate another Nate to the Nate. Apparently, there's scandals at the Nathan's his hot dog eating contest.
Oh my God. What happened here?
I don't know. Apparently there's some sort of cheating going on. I don't know how the hell you cheat in a hot dog contest, but somehow the wife is claiming, I think, that he pawned it somehow. That somehow, let me see, he's accusing sleight of hand trickery.
Oh my God.
In order to inflate his tally. So
that's low. That's a pretty low blow.
Anyway, I was like, okay, this is some complete craziness. And since we already have the wrong Nate situation, why not just roll into the Nathan's hot dog contest?
Oh, no, that makes perfect sense. This thing's all over the map today. Speaking of food, that's why I was trying to get you to a food story. West Hollywood has banned food. This just in, West Hollywood has banned human food and will only allow plant-based foods at West Hollywood events. I'm sorry, the city has banned human food. So you can't have the hot dog eating contest. You could have the vegan hot dog. Vice Mayor Chelsea Byers introduced a plan to switch to plant-based foods in April, and it's a 63% lower carbon footprint than those that are animal-based. Eating more plant-based foods is the most effective way of reducing blah, blah, blah. But here we have a city. The mayor, John Erickson, agreed with the idea. Councilwoman Laura Meister, however, said she had concerns about making plant-based foods the city's default dish, though she agreed with the overall plan. And West Hollywood will now be the only city in America with no human food.
But that could be concerning in there, Mark. There's other issues that could come up, like this story you sent me.
Which one is this?
Being vegan and eating mushrooms can cause mid-flight self-pleasuring to occur.
This is so crazy. I just sent you that. I don't even know what to make of the whole thing. This guy is just looking for some random excuse for acting out on a plane. Mushrooms. Well, I mean, psychedelic mushrooms, or those real mushrooms. Is it vegan mushrooms or psychedelic mushrooms?
I am assuming he says high on mushrooms. So yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's psilocybin, I'm guessing.
Right. Which leads into the next story, which is this one: California bill to legalize psychedelic treatment for veterans, first responders, won't advance. This was on a fast track here until people flipped the F out about giving everyone legalized psychedelics. And this has now been pushed back, I think, because it's an election year. And this Senate Minority Leader, Brian Jones, a Republican from San Diego, has been left holding the bag. And he is the last politician standing. He didn't know that all the Democrats abandoned him. And he was left as the only guy they had to help them with this bill. And now he looks like the biggest schmuck in California because all of them, there's a bill started by the legendary Senator Scott Wiener, a bondage gay member of the Democratic caucus out of San Francisco.
Wait, his name's Wiener?
Wiener, absolutely, Scott Wiener. He's the guy that has come up with all the sexualized and drug-induced legal bills in the state of California.
So we have Anthony in the east and Scott in the west.
Double-barrel Wiener action, coast to coast, my friend. The Californians, this was psychedelic-assisted therapy for all Californians. This was shot down. Then they tried to put together a therapy committee and actual drug counselors who, instead of helping you get off drugs, would help you navigate the use of drugs. This thing lasted for a while until it became so far out there that even Wiener had to pull out. He had to pull out the Wiener from this crazy bill in in California. So that is also a crazy story. And there was something else I was going to tell you about here. I mean, these California stories kind of make their own sauce. I mean,
well, okay, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is California going to catch up to Florida and Germany? And what I mean by this is, like, Adam Carolla used to have a little game show that he did where he would come up with a wacky story. They would just read the headline and the contents of the story. And the game was to guess, is it Florida or is it Germany?
But that's wacky stories. That's why these stories are not wacky stories. They're wacky political stories. And that's the difference. Florida has general wacky stories. Like this one, Los Angeles moves to reward system to curb copper thefts. They're now giving rewards to the people who turn in the people who have been stealing the copper and all of the electric material in LA. So they've now gone to outside rewards and reward posters for the stealing of copper, which is 10 billion pounds of copper have been stolen. This also includes the fire hydrants that I told you about in the previous two shows. California bill expands door lock change protection for abuse survivors. Your landlord now, if you say that you were sexually abused, your landlord now has to come in within 24 hours and change the locks on your door.
Okay.
No. That's what progressive politics are, Eric. When you can't even imagine it, these bills are so far ahead of the culture as to really be astoundingly shocking. That's why you're looking that way.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, I can understand if somebody broke into my apartment and did something, I would demand the landlord change the locks. That would make perfect sense. But just in general, if something bad happened, I was on a bad date, they changed my locks. I don't understand
surprisingly, that was already on the books.
Okay. Well,
it's already on the books. But my favorite one is they now pass legislation saying they cannot tell the parents from the schools that your kid is transgendering. That's now legislative.
That's going around everywhere.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Well, I just want to tell you, there's a glamorization of monkey ownership out here, that the people get these primates as monkey babies, and then after 2 years, the monkey reaches sexual peak and begins to turn on the owners, biting them and ripping their faces off. And this has become a huge problem. Social media has been promoting the purchasing. Social media glamorizes monkey ownership, then it turns bad. The huge article here of when monkey ownership goes bad, Eric, which you and I knew nothing about. And you didn't even think about monkey ownership, did you?
Actually, I've heard of this. This has happened before with chimpanzees. And chimpanzees are incredibly powerful creatures. I mean, they're like twice the power of men.
Well, this is now baby monkeys that are just like regular monkeys. This is any primate does this, apparently, according to this study. Sure. I didn't know that either. I thought chimpanzees also. But there was one here I wanted to tell you. I mean, there are so many weird stories that are coming out. I don't know what you have there in the hopper that I sent over to you, but maybe we can cover one that I
don't know if you sent this, but since we're talking drugs, California, et cetera, you said you got high with this person, and
well, you don't have to put it that way, Huntley. I mean, for the love of Christ, she just passed away.
Well, her husband is more known for it than her.
Well, let me tell you something. She could hold her own too. She knew what she was doing, Judy Bellucci. I didn't know she passed away at 73. She worked at Lampoon before I was there in the art department, and famously went berserk one day when Maddie moved her desk out to give it to someone else. I don't even know. It had nothing to do with her being fired or anything, but he took her desk out of her office. She came in, she flipped out. She called up Bellucci, John. I don't think they were married yet. And Bellucci came into the office. Maddie wasn't there. Bellucci had a furious temper. And Maddie was out to lunch with these investors, movie investors. And Bellucci got up on the top of Maddie's desk, pulled down his pants, and left something in Maddie's desk. This is Maddie Simmons, the owner of founder of National Lampoon. Bellucci left something famously.
In the desk?
Yes, in the desk drawer, and then pulled up his pants and left. An hour and a half later, Maddie comes back from lunch with the investors. They're sitting around his office, 635 Madison Avenue. And he begins to notice something in the air, Eric. And he opens up his desk drawer, and he sees this human stool. And he just yells out at the top of his lungs one word, and that was Bellucci. And he was the criminal was long gone, but the legend of the story lives on.
And it's not a human stool like LBJ used.
That was Jack Valenti. Jack Valenti was a human stool for LBJ, as we pointed out in one of the LBJ episodes.
Well, let's transition then too, because this isn't the same, but it rhymes. It's not a stool, but it's a tool. And Ben Affleck's daughter.
Have you seen her?
I don't know.
Do you have video on this? If you play,
we do. So let's go ahead and watch her public comment.
I had no idea.
Violet Affleck, Los Angeles resident, first-time voter. I'm 18. I contracted a post-trial condition in 2019. I'm okay now, but I saw firsthand that medicine does not always have answers to the consequences of even minor viruses. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown that into sharper relief. 1 in 10 infections leads to long COVID, which is a devastating neurological cardiovascular illness that can take away people's ability to work, move, see, and even think, stands to exacerbate our homelessness crisis, as well as the suffering of many people in our city. It hits communities of color, disabled people, elderly people, trans people, women, and anyone in a public-facing essential job the hardest. To confront the long COVID crisis, I demand mask availability, air filtration, and far UVC light in government facilities, including jails and detention centers, and mask mandates in county medical facilities. We must expand the availability of high-quality free tests and treatment, and most importantly, the county must oppose mask bans for any reason. They do not keep us safer. They make vulnerable members of our community less safe and make everyone less able to participate in Los Angeles together. Thank you.
Breathe.
She can't breathe. She got the goddamn mask on. You wonder why Affleck is in the news all the time, looking so sad. Why her father, Ben Affleck, is notoriously one of the saddest men in show business. Look at this daughter he's got to put up with. She, according to sources, she's been wearing that mask for the past 4.5 years.
Every picture that I've seen with her mother, everywhere, she's
always wearing that mask. I mean, it's really, really crazy.
She could get a bubble. Just somebody give her a bubble and make it quiet.
Wow, that's terrifying. You know, speaking of celebrities that we mentioned last week, we mentioned the Adam Carolla home being bought by Shohei Ohtani. Well, apparently, Nippon News and all the major news services in Japan have already sent film crews to the house and publicized the address for the fans, doxing Ohtani before he's even moved into the house. The film crews have interviewed every neighbor, former neighbors of Adam Carolla, because this was Adam Carolla's house that he just sold to Ohtani for $7.8 million in Flint, La Cañada, which is a little bit north of Pasadena here in LA. So Ohtani, who has not even moved in, is now selling the house because he's been so doxxed that the house has now been staked out. The Nippon News apologized. The other channel did not. These are the two major channels in Japan. And this has now thrown a monkey wrench into Ohtani's living arrangements. So now he's got to find another house. I don't know what happens with Carolla's move out of the state, because Carolla was banking on selling this thing.
Did he back out, or was it already
closed? He backed out.
He's
out. He's out.
Okay.
He's out. Well, you mean did Ohtani back out? That I don't know. I understand.
No, I was going to say, yeah, he could have sold, and now he's just having to sell it. Carolla might already got his money.
Ohtani may be on the hook for it. But again, Ohtani was linked to the gambler who he was on the hook for. I mean, somebody's got to handle this guy's finance.
He's got the money.
That's what the gambler said. That's what his translator said.
Well, I mean, not for long, but he does have the money. You know that there was that lottery winner who won like the $1 billion lottery.
Yeah.
And I think he's up to 4 or 5 mansions at like $40 million a pop or something. So
he'll end up broke. They all end up broke.
Oh, of course they do.
They all end up broke. Somebody should do a documentary just on the winners of lotteries and how their lives end up all exactly the same.
Yeah.
My favorite one was this black bus driver, a school bus driver in New York. He'd worked religiously and hard for 25, 35 years as a school bus driver, hated every waking minute of it. His wife dies of cancer. He then is 65 years of age. He retires. He's mourning the loss of his wife. He's hated the job since day one, but he hits the lottery and he goes to that press conference with the big check and he says, "This is one of the worst days of my life. I wish I could have had this to share with my wife 25 years ago. It's of no value to me now." They didn't have children. I don't have a wife, and my job was a miserable existence for 35 years. Thank you. Good night. I don't know what happened to him, but I just remember that guy was completely embittered that he won the lottery.
Well, then there's the other guy that won the lottery, and this one's crazy because he won the lottery, and then they were filming a reenactment of him buying the ticket to win the lottery, and he won on that ticket.
On the reenactment ticket?
Yes, that one won too. What kind of crazy shit do you have there? So I don't know. I mean, that could be.
You know what? What happens to Michael Bloomberg's $20 million that he sent to the pro-Biden PAC, Eric?
I have no idea. No idea. He's got the money too. All right. So I already had this Baldwin story queued up, and I guess it won't be a problem anymore for the reality TV show.
That's the end of that.
Yeah, they were saying, hey, if he goes to jail for manslaughter, we'll roll with it. Well,
okay.
Yes.
They don't have to do that because how long did that case last?
Dude, I don't know. I mean,
no, I'm saying the trial lasted 3 days.
Oh yeah, this is day 3, and they only had 2 days with witnesses. The whole day today was a trial within a trial. It started.
What
with
happens
to
Hannah now? What about her life?
I don't know. I mean, both obviously has to be filing left and right. I don't know. Going to do anything. Carrie Morrisy maybe.
What happens to Carrie Morrisy's career now, in your humble opinion?
I don't know. I don't.
Well, I urge everyone to go back and watch our episodes on Baldwin from the beginning, because now there's closure to it, is where I was going with this conversation with Eric. Mm-hmm. With this thing, we're going to have how many episodes did we do, Eric?
I want to say like almost 30 or some crazy number. I
urge all of you to watch every single episode starting tonight.
Of course, and you know what? I will link to the 3 days of coverage that were on.
Okay, then you got the whole cockamamie story then.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be wrapping it up with an interview with Seth Kinney.
Was Billy Baldwin sitting in back of him the other day?
Stephen.
Oh, Stephen. What was with the girl pointing her finger gun at him? Did you see him? He turned around repeatedly, and there was some girl who was using a finger like this, pointing at Baldwin in the first row. And he just kept shaking his head, Baldwin, in disbelief. She just kept doing this at him, like shooting him with her finger gun.
Well, I know, probably stupid person. He had this weird hearing contraption on the whole time. I guess he's got hearing issues. Interesting. But Hilaria was sitting next to him off and on during the trial. There was a funny clip that was going around Twitter of Baldwin talking to Hilaria, and she's just sitting there with this expression on her face, and he's like going, he's just kind of like, hey, talking, and then he turns around, and then you see his face. He's kind of like, Jesus, what are you gonna do?
He was talking. He was through earphones or something. He was talking.
No. He was turned around. It was like during a court.
I see. Right.
He was sitting at the table, and he was turned around talking to her, and it was like he was trying to, whatever they were talking about. I'm sure it's something domestic or whatever, but she just kind of had this look, and he kind of turned around. He was like, "Oh Jesus, God, what are you gonna do?" You almost felt sympathy for him.
Well, what did you make of the press conference the other day? More importantly,
which press conference?
The one with Biden, the one at NATO.
I didn't catch that one.
Oh, that was a popular one. Okay, so he starts out by saying that his VP was Donald Trump.
Oh, the Vice President Trump one. I heard about that, and what was those? Oh, and he reported to the Commander in Chief. Mm-hmm. That one. Okay, I didn't see it.
There were many others.
The big boy conference. Yeah, and what was it? He went to NATO too, and I think the Italian Prime Minister famously had her eyes.
He was grabbing her and touching her inappropriately. He's really a lech, but you should have seen his staff sitting in the front row grimacing when he was saying VP Trump. Blinken was sitting there, and the other douche was sitting next to him, and the military dude, the black dude. This is some crew he's got there. I doubt the cabinet is going to go for a 25th Amendment. These are puppets. Turns out he's not had a cabinet meeting since last October, Eric. And apparently the cabinet, they demand that the cabinet submit their questions way in advance for a cabinet meeting to him, where his staff then has the questions, and the whole thing is complete theater. There is no cabinet meeting.
But it makes sense, because the Department of Energy guy, how do these people get into place? It's obviously a clown car situation.
Yeah.
And
the cabinet is not the cabinet's a phony cabinet, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, all these idiot figureheads, nobody's going to be challenging the primary clown.
Well, what I'm getting at is there seems to be a cabal around him that's running the earth itself. The cabinet is not the cabinet, Potemkin cabinet. Yeah, that's a good phrase, because the cabinet's not real. Cabinet's not real. The cabal around him that's running things is real, and then the commander in chief is down the street at his brownstone, and that's Barack Obama with his staff outside of the White House. It's becoming clear, finally, the structure of the actual physical government is finally becoming clear, simply because of this debate against Trump, and the unraveling. The unraveling has led to us seeing that now Clooney is going after him, not because Clooney doesn't like him. It's because Amal is a Palestinian shill and a deep state operative since day one. And the White House is now claiming this Clooney thing is payback for their Israeli policy. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. She got her man, who she controls, who is a homosexual, to do her bidding politically about Israel by pulling the plug and pulling the cover off of Joe Biden politically for re-election. This is about the Middle East with Clooney. Now you've got Huma Abedin marrying George Soros's son in one of the great deep state marriages of all time. This is our court of kings and queens now, these people. These deep state marriages, these are like the royal family in Europe in the 1800s into the early 1900s that had, weddings of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This is where we're at now.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, these are people who are deep state. A lot of them are honey trap women. A lot of them have these bearded guys. A lot of them are now pulling their levers of power as the empire is caught shifting gears, trying to switch leaders. There's a moment when they try to switch leaders that they're very vulnerable, Eric, and slightly more transparent is what I'm getting at.
Agree on all accounts. But you know what? I'm just seeing here, because we've been so distracted, the interviews, everything else going on. There's been another membership war going on.
Oh no. Now explain to people how this works.
I'm learning too. Okay. We have the OG badass membership giver, Dick Dickerson.
Dickerson, which is a pseudonym for Dick Dickerson. He's gifted 50, Eric?
50. That's $250
to people in the chat. Now, what does that mean? How does he pick them?
I don't know how he picks them.
Because there's people telling me they're dying of cancer and they need this membership.
I know. I hope they're here live, because if they're here live, I mean, maybe they can, convince Dick to.
So is it about being live, or that's how? Well,
I think that the memberships are given out while people are live, and amazing. It's jumped up, I think, over 800 memberships already. We're headed to 1,000 memberships on YouTube.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's so helpful, folks, because we get demonetized like on a dime all the time. It's just ridiculous. It's so bad that you're like leading over to my other channel getting demonetized with a damn trial. It's a freaking trial and it gets demonetized. So this is incredibly helpful and incredibly generous. But it's like somebody else has stepped up and they're like, hey, Dickerson, you're leading the way. But Joey Z is here.
Who's Joey Z? Who the hell's this guy now?
He's giving 50 memberships of his own.
You got some set of balls, Z, trying to compete with Dickerson at this level. I mean, you're talking about major league gifting of memberships. Joey Z just coming out of left field.
I'm telling you,
into the major leagues now. Look at Joey Z.
Out the gate.
Out of the gate. That's you know what? That's a good way to open, though. If you're playing this kind of game at this level with these stakes, you got to give it to Joey Z for having the cojones to jump in against the legend Dickerson at this point, Eric.
I agree, and the last guy who was jumping in against Dickerson
was Pew Pew, right?
And he said, Dickerson won it, but you know what? He's still in there. He's still throwing down a little bit.
This is Pew Pew, but he's running on fumes now. Pew Pew. He's really just trying to survive as a gift giver.
True, but he's still here and still giving gifts, and we still
tip of the hat to Pew Pew, who was a leading gift giver for many weeks. I mean, you got to tip your hat to Pew Pew at this point for just the longevity and the tenacity to try to take on the Dickersons of this world, who are obviously the Babe Ruths of gift giving. Wow, tip of the hat to you.
And Dickerson, he's not going to take this line down, though. He does not like it when people come up against
this.
him.
Is the same guy?
It's a Dickerson.
This is the legendary. We know this is the same Dick Dickerson because we had the wrong Nate Hochman. Who the hell knows anymore?
Well, this is true. This is true. And by the way, Dick Dickerson stated that interview is why this show rules, making lemonade.
we made lemonade out of a lemon. We don't even know who this kid was, and it turned out to be a great interview.
It really did.
You know what? We should spin the wheel and have random people that we bring on. And we just go, hey, what are you all about, bro?
At least he was on the right side of the aisle.
I almost panicked, but then I said, you know what? I bet you we can get something out of this kid.
He did great. I mean,
the kid did great. I got to tip my hat to
to
Nate Hochman too, the Terminator.
And he may come back, folks.
We're definitely having him back because oddly enough, he aligns with us politically. What are the odds?
And everybody loved him in the chat too, by the way. I mean, everybody was, the whole time the chat was saying, I like this guy. I mean, he's the future of
the future. He really is the future. Him and his
what a happy accident.
Yeah, maybe we could put up
Pew
a link
Pew's
to
still coming back.
Oh, Pew Pew chipping away here.
That's
chipping
right.
away.
And 10. You know what? Pew Pew said and did 10 more again. So Pew Pew, he can't.
You know what?
He's
got his own strategy. He's got his own strategy. He's chipping away in blocks of 10 to take down Dickerson, who thinks he's winning just by the sheer gravity of the numbers that Dickerson's putting up. But Pew Pew, with a smaller amount, is chipping away at him. This is a strategy, Eric.
It is, but Dickerson's on to the game.
Oh, Dickerson's on to it. You're right. Holy
shit.
I did not see that. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, Pew Pew's still hanging in there, still chipping. Dude.
Oh, look at him. Yeah, he's got his own style. He's got his own way of getting in there. He's just going to keep doing these 10s over and over and over again.
I think so, but you know what? Somebody's annoyed because, we've not been talking about him for a while, and Joey Z's back.
Oh, Joey Z. Look at Joey Z trying to get in with the big boys. Joey Z trying to compete at a mass level. Wow.
I'm telling you.
You know what? There's room for a lot more growth. There's room for others.
But final word so far, Dick Dickerson said.
Dickerson.
Sorry.
Dickerson.
I'm the boss.
Yeah, he's the boss of the bosses. Look at him. The king of the kings.
Dickerson, as you said,
I win again. Wow. And interesting. You win again. Grateful Dead. Dickerson, $2 in the big heap. You should check out Eminem's new song, Taking Down Candace Owens, Eric. I think you might like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Apparently Eminem woke up one day and said, I'm going after Candace Owens. And he has a new song just dealing with her.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's quite vicious. I don't think we could air it.
Oh, no. I know of Eminem's work. Tom McDonald, we can maybe air that. No, actually we can't because he's on the wrong side. So they'll say, oh, well, we don't like him because he's saying something that's, positive. We don't like positive messages that are leaning conservative. So ban that. So I don't know.
It'd be great if a populist could get in there as one of the employees, actually get the job as whatever the censors are doing inside YouTube or in Twitter, and actually, just apply and get the job. And then you could literally make your own documentary, make your own sauce, make your own everything out of that by, being the James O'Keefe of that level of social media, from the inside.
Oh, Jenny is getting inky with it. Clarified. She said, who gets memberships is random and selected from the people watching live. I did it once. It was never given the option to select who got them.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea how this works.
I didn't know that either. So
what do you mean random? What do they spin a wheel? How does the random?
I think YouTube just assigns it to people who aren't members, and somebody's giving it out, and people get it. So I guess
you can't even be the Lone Ranger and give out. You can't even be a Christ-like figure on YouTube. They will intercede on your manna from heaven and fishes and loaves by saying, no, we're Christ. We're going to take
Apparently.
Wow, man, that's a new low for YouTube.
I agree. And it looks like that's half of Dickerson's strategy is like, well, hell with you. I'm going to just give out so many memberships that everybody will get them. And now we got a new guy, Simon James, jumping in.
You know what? Simon James, a legend in the building. This guy, you're going to hear a lot about Simon James. I've heard good things about him. He may be a professional gift giver, trying to get in early in the game. He's not done. Simon James will be back. And
Alexander B is saying this is a Dick Dickerson halftime show. It seems to be.
Well, anyway, let's see what others. Oh no, pew pew, pew pew. We're gonna have to go to some super chats right here to offset some of this error.
Oh, we definitely will. But I could not ignore. I mean, there's a lot of money and a lot of investment there that people throw down. And I'm not going to sit there and say, we'll get to you. No, thank you. That is huge. We have a lot more super chats we'll definitely be getting to. Let's go ahead and cover this quick story here. Biden's verbal abilities have unraveled so badly he's now speaking pidgin English, top linguist claims.
Interesting. Now, John McWhorter is a black linguist, African-American guy. I interviewed him many years ago for Penthouse magazine. In the mid-90s, I became friends with this guy. And he is a conservative African-American. He teaches, I think, at Harvard or Columbia. Linguist. Yeah, he's at Columbia University. He's a linguist. But he's also black conservative.
He hangs out with Lori, if I recall. Glenn Lori.
Yes, absolutely. They had a podcast together. But his area of expertise, which he very rarely focuses on, is linguistics. And that's why I sent you the story, because McWhorter he told me these horror stories growing up as a kid where he would try to carry books home after school, and these black kids would beat the shit out of him and steal the books, claiming that he was acting white. So he had to get 2 sets of textbooks so he wouldn't be caught coming home from school with actual books acting white. I was doing an article for Penthouse on race relations or something in the 90s. But that being said, he's now claiming that Biden has created his own language, or is speaking in a dialect of his own creation, which is a pidgin type English, where he's making up words as he goes along.
Okay. It's hard to dispute that.
I know.
All right. Well, CNN still having trouble, so that debate's not going to save everything. CEO to lay off 100 more employees while he discusses fresh turnaround plans.
I see what he's saying. Okay. Well, there seems to be a lot of top-heavy anchors. And one of the things I saw after the debate, I watched the debate on CNN. Not the debate, I mean the press conference at NATO. I watched it on CNN and beforehand and afterwards, and I wanted to see what was going on. And Van Jones was on there. And Van Jones was he had already said that Biden had to go. And this was earlier in the week. He said that Biden had to go. So they asked him again. And he said, I get very emotional about Biden because he's a good man at heart. And he goes into this whole emotional thing about Joe Biden in some other feeble attempt to keep him on board or keep him relative. I'm not really sure what Van Jones's angle was, but they had another guy on the same show who is a black editor at the New York Times. And the New York Times has made up their minds viciously now that he's got to go and he's got to resign the presidency. So this was an amazing battle between a communist, Van Jones, versus a New York Times black editor. Fascinating opposite viewpoints, although I had heard that Van Jones says he's got to go anyway.
So Van Jones was crying almost after the debate.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. He was talking about, But I mean, this is a guy who famously was a special advisor to Barack Obama. And it turns out that he was not just a liberal, that he was not just a socialist, that he was not just a Marxist, but that he was an official card-carrying member of the American Communist Party. Not some ideological professor. He was actually an executive of the American Communist Party, and even Obama had to cut him loose. So CNN picked him up the next day, and he's been playing for them ever since.
Well, and to continue on this track, Milwaukee radio station admits it scrubbed multiple Biden remarks from an interview at the campaign's request. This is July 3rd.
Yeah, this is a common problem now where the actual White House official records for history have been scrubbed of all the malapropisms and all of the misspoken sentences by Biden. They've been cleaned up for history. This is as Soviet as it gets, Hunley. The fact that the White House records section has cleaned up almost every single public spoken performance by Joe Biden to make it legible and clean. Why that's allowed, I have no idea. But
these are the same assholes who are tearing down statues, Mark. What do they care about history? They want to rewrite it anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, I think you're going to begin to see, and we had said this over a year ago, that you were going to begin to see an attack on his son as the first level of assault. We said that over a year ago in this show. The first level of assault has occurred. He's been a convicted felon now. Now they're moving into round 2, which is his IRS tax fraud trial out here in California, which is going to start in a couple of weeks. He will be convicted in that trial. They never lose a case unless it's a black actor and your lawyer is Robert Barnes.
Even he went to prison.
Even he went to prison. They very rarely lose a case. And that has not made the Biden family buckle. Okay. Now they're going to go after James Biden. They're going to go after that Emeritus phony corporation he set up, the medical corporation, which includes his current White House physician who keeps saying he has a clean bill of health. 2 weeks ago on this show, I said that the people around him, the aides, have to be subpoenaed for covering up the mental health of Joe Biden. The aides are now being subpoenaed by Jim Jordan to turn up in the House of Representatives under the lights. I don't think they're going to show up. I think they're going to plead executive privilege, and I believe that they should be jailed once they're pleading executive privilege and not showing up. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that, because that happened as quickly as I said it, which was a no-brainer. It wasn't me. It was just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to start to see the criminal leaks about him, that they're going to go after him criminally, because keep in mind, despite what everybody's thinking, the crimes occurred when he was vice president, and he does not have immunity, Hunley, as you're well aware.
Correct.
And they're going to leak that out, and they're going to leak out the vice presidential crimes. And this is, again, to turn the screws on his wife. And his wife is the one who's going to have to pull the plug on him, not unlike Edith Wilson with Woodrow Wilson back in the day, because he's obviously never going to leave until she says, let's go, pack a suitcase, let's get the effing out of here. But they're going to have to move at lightning speed because the convention's coming. So this is going to be the greatest political month in my life.
Well, we've already seen it. I mean, we're up to 20 some odd, high-level Democrats. Pelosi's even said it. I mean, it's just... Yeah, it's rolled out wide. It's like everybody is
right. But I'm saying they're going to have to begin. The audio tapes of Robert Hur are exactly Nixonian in the repeat of history. The transcript is what they floated out, like Nixon's aides did to appease the media. Robert Hur floated out the transcripts from Merrick Garland's Justice Department. And the battle is now underway with Thomas Massie and others to get the audio tapes of Biden. The connection to Nixon is so obvious to be humorous. I mean, here is a history repeating itself over audio tapes, Eric.
Yeah, except for one guy is guilty. I mean, the same.
Well, I don't know about guilty, but they are going to retain those tapes at all costs, because apparently they're worse than the debate with Trump, audio-wise.
Oh, I'm sure. Actually, this is a good question. Is anyone saving the real record of Biden? The rewriting and changing and manipulating.
I don't know.
And
I don't know.
I hope somebody
this is the real record now.
I'm hoping somebody smuggled out the originals, or
That would be great. That would be great. Well, I mean, there is footage and audio of him speaking, at various functions, like the press conference that he just gave and the debate. I mean, there's footage of everything. I mean, there's montages that have been rolling for weeks now.
Oh, I have a 2.5 hour one that I shared out
of him with the
just Biden. Just
okay. Well, okay. So
it's on locals.
There's the record. Yeah. There's the record. Yeah, that is the record.
All right. You know what? We still have a ton of super chats. This is
okay. Amazing. Somebody made America's Untold Story coasters and sent them to me.
Whoever did that, figure. I wonder. Yes, I did.
Oh, I got the coin, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's a great challenge coin. Thank you.
As a matter of fact, yeah, we need to talk about that coin for folks to see if they want to get one of their own. They're doing so well; they're almost sold out. We're doing another run. Well, you got one, so you already know what it looks like up close.
Yeah, I've not seen that. By the way, the tickets for these two events in Nixon Land are severely limited. So you may want to jump on this as soon as you can. The tickets are limited because of the structure and the size of the space, not for any other reason. So we are going to have to cut it off at a very, very low number. Yeah, I urge you, if you're really interested in this, to please jump on this, because these tickets are going to sell out, and I don't want to disappoint someone who's super interested but didn't get to it. It's probably going to be our last meetup until and if we go to Dallas in November.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything.
Right? Yeah, there's nothing. There's not going to be anything between that.
I feel I'm traveled out for the moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of tapped out. I mean, this thing's near my house, so I mean, it's not that crazy, but just the putting on these events is a lot of work.
All right, but yeah, and the coin, here's a larger view of it. If people want to check it out, you can get it on our site, americasuntoldstories.com/coin. There's a link in all the descriptions. And while you are there, I mean,
are we going to have these at the meetup that they could buy, or
maybe it might be part of their it might be part of the thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean,
I don't know anything. Go with the coffee thing now. Okay.
Well, of course, I'm going with the coffee thing.
Maybe we could bring the coffee to the meetup.
Well, I think maybe we can. If we're allowed to bring in our own coffee, then we can have some excellent coffee. But meanwhile, everybody gets to try it on their own. americasuntoldstories.com/coffee. Again, link in the description. And I'm telling you, I love this coffee. I have it on hand and drink it every day. And God knows I need to keep up with all the stories we're doing. It is insane. And drinking it all day with the Baldwin trial. But back to Super Chats. Nick Terpstra. Show my mom, age 60, the 4-part series, Destiny Betrayed. In the week since, she has asked smart questions and is coming around. Thanks, y'all.
Well,
that's a great series.
Yeah, that series is great. The 4-part one is that's the real one. The 2-part was on Showtime. But that, yeah, if she could watch that and not come around, I would say she's Bidened out, bro. I mean, after you watch that, there's so many experts on that Destiny Betrayed. It was written by Jim DiEugenio, who I did an interview with, which is on the channel if you want to take a look at that at some point. DiEugenio put out the book of the same title, which also has some extras in the book. But he's also worked with Oliver Stone to produce that 4-part documentary.
And Oliver Stone's treating it like JFK updated. Like you take
JFK
then, and now he's done that to kind of like cover everything he missed, cover different, and straighten the record, clarify the record, get even more enhanced. So it's almost like JFK book of the movie in a 4-part series.
Well, he said it was what happened from the release of the movie till now. What new evidence since the release of the movie, as he said in some press conference.
Knucklefist said, got AUS on blast in the garage. Whole neighborhood gonna hear it. Make it a good one. Come on, Bobby. I think it's been pretty damn good so far, actually. So
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's funny because the kid, the Nate Hockman Jr., we could call him Hockman Jr., when we asked him about RFK, he had an interesting take on him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
that was interesting. Yeah.
Well, he's a Politico, and it's like, okay, this is great. He's right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
TB, the president allegedly for the past 2 years has some type of diminished capacity. Who do you think is actually running the country? Barack Obama.
Yeah, Obama. That's why he picked
his
him,
old
bro.
boss is his new boss.
That's why he picked this guy. And that's why Harris is this weed cackling Jamaican Indian. This has all been handpicked by the head honcho over there on the side street, with his Iranian chief of staff.
Definitely. Shroom Fiend. Love you, dudes. Nice hats.
Yeah, I didn't know Hunley was going to wear one. I just took a new one.
I wasn't planning to wear one. What happened was, for whatever reason, the people who were watching the trial with me, we were doing a multi-stream on multiple channels at the same time. They all were wearing hats, and I was shamed into, you must wear a hat. So I grabbed the Americon Stories hat, and I thought, you know what, I'll just roll into it for the evening.
When I like to wear merch. I went to see Don Harisic, the art cop, and he showed me the Hall of Fame of LAPD. And on the wall were photos of the famed hat squad of LAPD from the 1930s, who wore fedoras and were the guys that threw the mobsters out as soon as they landed at the LA airport. They would take them into the men's room and beat the living shit out of them and put them on the next plane. And they were called the Hat Squad because they never took off their hats, even in the detective room during the day. In other words, all day long, they kept their hats on. And he showed me these photos on the wall that were photos of them in the 1930s, which were fascinating. And this is before he brought me in to interrogation room number 1, where I met the murderess, Stephanie Lazarus.
And you might get to see her again, Mark.
Yeah, she may be out. I mean, I think she's not getting out, but I strongly recommend people. Oh, you know who did a great job? Watch the body language guys.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job on her.
You have to watch her interrogation. It's
great.
mandatory.
Interrogation.
You've never seen anybody crazier looking in your life.
Wow. And he said to me in the interview on 2020 the other day, he says, what was your opinion of her when you first met her? I said, only one word kept popping into my head. And he said, what was that? I said, bipolar. And he said, well, how can you say that? I go, well, at the very end of the interrogation, the one thing she says to him as soon as she's handcuffed is, I want my meds. And you could hear it at the very end. I need my meds for tomorrow. Having to wake up in jail, she has the presence of mind saying, I have to get my meds for tomorrow. And no, nobody says that unless you're on some serious meds.
Well, she looks like she needed them. Pasha said, let's call the Baldwin trial Courtroom Kabuki.
Kabuki Theater.
I agree. You said signing his new book. I envisioned ESL. Gorsuch.
He does have a new book, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why he's there.
That's what they said. They're advertising. And
yeah.
That's
part of the event is you pay the tickets, get the book, and get it signed.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And what's her name's going to be there too? The blonde, who's pretty Trumpian right now. I see her on TV a lot now. I forget her name. She used to work for Nixon back in the day.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, someone in the chat will come.
Beavis, sorry, I missed this earlier. We were too busy figuring out which Nate we had. Please ask Nate why we should fear the Democratic Party machine. They are ruthless when it comes to winning the presidential election. Nate's thoughts on how the Democrat Party is working to take over the House and Senate. Didn't quite get to that. Again, sorry.
Maybe next week. It's going to be a Nate. Every week we'll bring on Nate the lawyer, Nate. Every single Nate we could think of every other week.
Ask Nate. Biden being bad is exactly part of the plan. It shows that Democrats can win because Obama's really running. He is running. He is the president.
He is the president. Yeah, he is.
For someone who wasn't,
he met with Pelosi yesterday. Obama to discuss the fate of this current president. Tell me where in American history this has ever happened before, where the former president is meeting with the Speaker of the House, the former Speaker of the House, about the fate of the current sitting president, for Christ's sakes.
This is the stuff, along with his, elder abuse, that does make me feel sorry for Biden in some ways. I mean, think about it for the legacy. It's like you're always under that man's shadow.
Yeah.
And now you're just that man's bitch. Yeah. I mean, it's a curse. I mean, it's very karmic, but it's a curse. PD, for someone who wasn't a guest, Nate was a good guest.
He was a great
Agreed.
guest. I mean, he's probably better than the other Nate. I never met the other Nate.
Obviously. I'm sorry. Scott Benbow, got you 2 in Utah, 1 in China, 1 in the US. It was close to Zion. All right. They're getting the subs in.
Zion National
slowly
Park.
but surely.
Oh, by the way, in the middle of the interview, Stephanie Lazarus, if you listen, I hadn't listened to it in a long time, the interrogation. Out of the blue, she says, "Why would I do it? I'm a Mormon." She was born and raised Jewish.
Oh, okay.
In the middle of the interview, she says, "Why would I do that? I'm Mormon." Something to that effect. And it's kind of caught my ear going, when did she become a Mormon?
And Mormons actually call themselves LDS too. So that's even weirder. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Well, no, who would make that up? It doesn't make any sense. I mean.
Oh, of course, she is the paragon of sense making.
Well, she won every award, Eric. She was the star of the LAPD.
Yeah, but you also
team,
pointed out that she was one of the original diversity hires, and that's why she lingered for so long.
That is true. That is true. So that's my take on. I said that in the show, by the way. They'll probably cut the whole thing out.
Oh, they'll cut that part, I'm sure.
Yeah, they'll probably look at this show and say, we can't have this guy on. Somebody's going to find this show and say, how the hell did we have this guy on? Get rid of him.
I know. That's why I'm hoping it goes on this Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Jenny's getting inky with it. Love how Mark handled the misbooking. Great save, and hope you have this Nate back on. He certainly seemed to hold his own. 100%.
100%. Yeah. Dude, it's show business, baby.
Did you talk about Alec Baldwin case being dismissed?
No, we didn't mention it. Zugnish, don't say anything. Keep it to yourself, Marty. Don't say a word.
Darren Cox, enjoying this channel, and thank you to Dick.
He's one of the biggest dicks we have. I mean, let's face it. This guy is the king of the dicks.
The big dick.
Yeah. Dick Dickerson.
And not the Nixon. Watch nut. Baldwin case dismissed. Yep.
Right on.
It is shocking, guys. I mean, that is
shocking. What a way for it's almost like a knockout. Down goes Frazier. Down goes in the Foreman.
Down goes Morrisy. Down goes Morrisy.
The Foreman Frazier fight ended so quickly that everybody freaked out. It was over in a second.
Yeah, I mean, we only got 2 days of witnesses. The third day.
No, I know. It reminds me.
Well, no, I'm sorry, a day and a half because he had opening statements.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus. Oh my God.
No, I'm glad I didn't go down there.
Yeah. Jenny's going to ink you with it. Did you see all the Epoch Times?
Yes.
Things talking about Teemu and it may cause an increase in shipping.
Teemu is done. They apparently are involved in selling, and I purchased stuff from Teemu too. I bought a portable toilet just recently for camping, and the prices are so low. The whole thing is a front to get your information.
That's how they're doing it. Okay,
yeah,
I've kind of wondered about some of that.
It's Chinese, and the Chinese government are using the information to sell to offset the incredibly low prices of the crap on Teemu.
You know what? That's interesting because Teemu is a Japanese word, I think.
Well, the Epoch
multisyllabic.
Times,
No. I'm saying, but it could be a Chinese company using a Japanese sounding word.
Yeah, that I don't know.
But we feel safer.
The information behind this of the people buying the stuff is ending up in Chinese hands.
Wow. Salty Vet Dad, guarantee the Hugh tape has already been erased.
The Her tape was erased only by the author, but not by Robert Her.
Okay.
The author erased his end of it, destroyed it, which I think you have to bring the author with a subpoena before the bright lights of Congress because he destroyed evidence in a federal prosecution. That's just a fact. So he has to be flipped and given immunity, in my humble opinion, to turn against the other people in the case. It's just 101. It's just 101.
Carl Burkhalter said, support Cal exit.
Well, if we can, if we can get Nate Hochman, who is running against George Gascon, that's why the Hochman interview will never die. We'll try to get him back next week, but if Hochman can become the district attorney of Los Angeles, it is a major game changer. That's why I wanted to have him on. It is a huge game changer because he was in assistant attorney general in the Bush administration.
All right. I think Pew Pew wanted final words here.
I don't know if Pew Pew is going to get final words because that's not going to cut it. If Dickerson hears about this, and I don't know where Dickerson is.
I think Dickerson played ahead enough that he might be all right.
That he probably went to bed already. He probably lives in India. He probably lives in Bangkok. Dickerson in Bangkok, and he may have gone to bed already.
Could be. Thank you, Pew Pew. Seriously. Thank you very much. Brian, Monica Crowley.
Oh, Monica Crowley. Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
She's also speaking at the Nixon Library when we're having the meetup.
No, let's invite her.
Well,
come on over,
people
Monica.
may come. Who knows? They all watch the show apparently. Well, we know 2020 watches it. They found me.
That's the thing too. That's Disney, dude. Well, let's see if you hold up.
Dude, I went behind enemy lines the other day. You should have seen just going in. They were just looking me over, scrutinizing.
Well, talk about juxtaposition. You realize that in 2 days you went on ABC 2020, which is Disney, and then you're on Emma Robertson the next day.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the spectrum is so wide. And I haven't been to Disney in years in terms of movie business, but I mean, it's pretty close by. It's in Glendale. Interestingly enough, the woman who was murdered worked at Glendale Adventist Hospital, which is right over here. That's where she was stalked by Stephanie Lazarus. I was trying to explain it to the producer who was in New York on a teleprompter doing the interview. He lives in New Jersey, but I was trying to explain the proximity of everyone right here from the crime and murder and everything else is all right here. And these structures still exist. And, a lot of it is close by. So I was pointing that out in the interview. I don't know if he needs that, but.
Amazing. Soltron, I'm guessing since Mark is sitting upright, he didn't play the Biden well anyway drinking game last night.
He's got a couple of these buzz phrases, Biden, and that's one of them. Maybe people know the other buzz phrases that he uses. He counts the numbers of things. 1, let me get this straight. Then he goes, 1, the first thing is this. And then the second, he never gets to 3. It's always like the first 2. I think Trump pointed this out at one point. But he's got a couple of these. Let me get one thing straight. There's a couple of these buzz phrases that would make great T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's disfluencies you call them, or
okay.
Anyway, well, let me see. To quote Josie Wales, Stephanie had crazy eyes.
Oh, let me tell you something. She invented crazy eyes, this chick, and one of the great episodes, of course, of the history of Curb Your Enthusiasm was the rapper Crazy Eyes, and his encounter with Crazy Eyes, Larry David, one of the great Curbs of all time. And he, at one point, he calls up looking for Crazy Eyes, and he gets the information on the phone, and he's saying, "I'd like to speak to a Mr. Crazy Eyes in Silver Lake." And he goes, "I think it's Crazy Eyes. It may be one name. His last name may be Crazy Eyes. Maybe it's his first name is Crazy. I'm not really sure." That's worth the price of admission right there when he calls up trying to get his phone number.
Wow.
People who saw it know what I'm talking about.
Serrano, love the impromptu Nate interview and look forward to the right Nate. Now I'm not going to
that might have been the right Nate.
Yeah, I want to say the other Nate now.
Yeah,
because we like.
We'll call him Nate Senior and Nate Junior.
Well, that was my thought. As I saw him in the background, Mark, before he came on, and I'm going, with that kind of.
You didn't realize that kid was not the DA of LA?
I'm just watching him. I'm like, this is the youngest looking dude with that kind of record. What the hell? I don't know.
You thought that guy was in the Bush administration in 2008?
No, I said, who fed me this information?
Did you send it to the right guy?
I mean,
how did I get the guy's email? I don't understand.
I don't know how you got this guy's email address. You sent to me.
I don't understand. There's a long. We'll have to look at it after the show because there's a long. The guy follows me, not this guy. The actual guy follows me on Twitter.
Well, I don't know, Mark.
DM'd me. I have to take a look over here.
All right. Dick Dickerson wanted us to know, I live in Missouri and I'm glad I have competition because it helps the channel. Dude, it helps a lot.
Thank you.
And you're a rock star. My God.
Yeah. Missouri versus Biden.
And then Salty Bet Dad said, my mom's guess is Biden has Lewy body dementia. That's
that came out last week, Lewy body, and they claim that Robin Williams had Lewy body, which I highly dispute since I knew Robin Williams and he couldn't stop.
Well, they said he had just been diagnosed.
It sounds like elite bullshit. Never bought into it. He was he had relapsed, and he was at Betty Ford, not for Lewy bodies, but for alcohol.
Joey Z said, love the competition and want the channel to grow.
You and me and Eric both. I mean, they do not want to let this thing out of a box. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no kidding. That's a nice.
We got to subscribe. Okay, this is where I got to go to work here, Hunley. How do we get the? I got to find my bell. Here it is. I got the bell. I got this thing. I got my Kinky Friedman for Governor shirt, which I thought Nate would love. This is Kinky 2006 for Governor. If people could see.
Oh, okay. I didn't see I knew it was Kinky Friedman, but I didn't see the rest.
Yeah, this is his actual official governor shirt when he ran against an obscure guy named Rick Perry. I don't know if you remember Rick Perry.
Sure.
Nobody liked Rick Perry. He was like a
boomer soundboard, folks.
Rick Perry was like a Bush family Republican, right?
Yeah, he followed. Didn't he follow Bush?
I think so. I
don't remember. I don't follow Texas, so if I'm wrong, whatever. Darren Cox, your JFK videos have been great. Where, if any, do you see any new information coming
when
from?
Trump gets back in and he releases the rest of the files, this is obviously Pompeo who told him not to release them, and he released 90% of them. I'll tell you that much, because I still haven't gotten through, despite what critics say, I have not gotten through the 17,000 files in the JFK National Archives that Trump released, just so you know. And Trump has vowed to release the remaining files that are in there, and that will again trigger new revelations. So when he becomes president again, this is what he said he's going to do.
Well, let's definitely,
which may lead to some other revelations. But I just have to ring the bell of justice, so people who are blind, and people who are deaf, and people who are mute, handicapped people who live in third world countries, people who don't have a pot to piss in. None of that matters. None of that matters, because if you're watching this show, you too can subscribe to the show for free, right?
It's free.
Right, it's free. So
free,
I don't know what your excuse is. You have no fingers. Whatever your lame excuse is, it really doesn't hold water, because once I ring this bell, you're obligated by the laws of social justice and the
shame. You'll feel shame if you don't.
The shame of not doing it, the fact that you are watching it for free, and that you feel that you could watch it for free as a vagabond freeloader for many years and not subscribe. It's really gutless, bro. It really is. So now when I ring this bell, we're going to get rid of all the gutless sacks of shit who are out there freeloading and not subscribing. Again, I just want to point out one thing. It's absolutely free to subscribe. And by not doing something that's absolutely free, it really is mind-boggling. So I'm going to ring this bell, and hopefully that number will change. It's been there for 10 months. It hasn't even moved. There it is.
All right. And on that note, we and our boomer soundboard are going to shift over to another place you can follow us, become a member for free.
No, but what if they become a member and actually pay?
Then they get other materials like the Oswald. So far, 3 parts have been released. The Oswald multi-part audio drama, which will ultimately be 5 parts. 3 of them have been released.
Whew, man.
They're available.
Whoa.
4th one's underway.
You think if we have all 5 when we go down, or if we do,
we will have all 5 by the time November. We better have them all by November. I'm hoping that we'll have LBJ as well in November, or at least LBJ started, so it could be the same course as what happened before, where we could give a sampling of what was going on while we were there, and then people could come and hang out in locals. We're continuing to try to add new material, things like that, to locals.
How much is it for an entire year? Let's say Dickerson or one of these mega millionaires wants to become a member of locals. I know it's how much? $700?
700.
Wait a second. You're telling me
it's not Sport Picks, Mark. It's ours.
Okay, so you're telling me that for $70 you get the whole year on locals?
Yes, and everything. Not only do you get what we put,
I thought
in
it was
there,
$700.
No, 70. And not only do you get whatever we're putting in the month and different materials as we add it, you get everything we've put out before.
Such as?
We've put up videos that are hard to find. We put up PDFs that are nearly impossible to get.
Do
different
they get
files, different books,
JFK
rare books.
trading cards?
They do not get the JFK trading cards with that, but they can buy the JFK trading cards, which is highly recommended. And there is a link in the description. I need to start pimping those out a bit more, actually, and talking about them.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. You get this one too. Look at this greatest
General
hits.
Walker, absolutely.
Look at this. Hey,
you could quiz your friends. Who's this?
I'm Jack
Ruby.
I'm Jack Rubenstein. I used to run guns in the Nixon administration. You get Jack Ruby.
Don't you love all the people who always go, his name is Rubenstein?
Yeah, we know what that means. Look at this guy.
Tippett.
JD Tippett.
He started it all.
This is my favorite, Hunley. The interview that we did last week. Oh, I thought it was terrible. Listening to Max Good. I never should have granted. I never should have given him. I know. I do like Max.
Ruth, you like him.
Yeah, I do like him.
No, Ruth likes him.
Even Ruth likes him, but I think even Ruth near the end had it with him. Because remember the pot banging incident when he was interviewing Michael Payne? And we asked him, I don't know if it's in that interview, but we asked him if it was intentional.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That might have been, that was, I think, our first interview with him. It was not in person, but all of them are good. All of the Ruth Payne coverage with Max and without, I think is good programming. Ruth, the rock star. But by the way, that's something else on locals.
What?
The Ruth Payne love letters to Marina Oswald.
You know what? I forgot about those.
That's an example. I don't everything offhand, but that's something you don't see everywhere. Yeah. That's for the paid supporters. But we put a lot of stuff up there for free. I mean, it's like, I put a ton of PDFs up there, books that people could check out. I'm trying to upload different films.
I think you put up a good PDF the other day. Was it the Tony Lazarus one, the Nixon's detective?
I don't know if I put it up there or not. I don't remember, but I am trying to put up. Some are only for supporters, but many of them are for everybody. So it makes no sense to not just go hang out.
Look, it's $70 for the whole year. I mean, this guy just gave away hundreds of dollars worth of memberships, Dickerson. Literally. I mean, the least you could do is think about raising somehow in the course of the year $70. It might be in people's couches, $70 in coins. So
all right, ASMR $13.99 from Ken.
You know what? I love ASMR. I'm one of the biggest.
I know you are.
I love, and people go, "How could he be into ASMR?" It's one of the greatest new things to come out of YouTube channels in years.
It's weird. People either they
there's
get
people
it or they
good at
don't.
it, and there's people bad at it. It's like anything else.
No. Some people hate hearing it, and others love it. So, all right. So we're gonna head over to locals and freak. What in the hell are you doing? Okay.
What about Biden when he lowers his voice? And, you didn't even see it. No, he leans into. He did it like 4 times during the press conference. He did it 4 times where he lowers his voice. That's why I'm the president. I mean, he had all these crazy things that he was doing. Really, really weird stuff.
All right. Stephen McMahon. Mark, please do some Ruth Payne. He just did Ruth Payne.
I just did it.
Don't get greedy. This came in after you did it. I mean,
I just did it. Oh, this guy saying it afterwards?
Yeah, he asked for it after the fact.
No. That's just greed. That's just greed, bro.
It is. We are going to head over to locals and keep this going.
I'm going to call Nate Hockman on the phone while we're heading over to locals. Maybe he'll meet us over at locals.
Who knows? He could.